DAIMA is finally coming to Dokkan, but should you summon? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan battle video, and it is that time again. We are answering that age-old question. Should you summon on the upcoming Dual Dokkan Fest for the Super Saiyan Goku Mini and the Fizz Glorio, the first Dual Dokkan Fest for the Dragon Ball Daima series, and I'm sure there's certainly more to come. But the question is, are these two worth your hard-earned stones at the end / beginning of the year and leading into the anniversary? As always, in order to make that determination, we're going to look at three major factors. Number one, we're going to look at the units themselves, Glorio and Goku, and determine whether or not a summon for these units is worth your stones. And then we're going to take a look at their banners. That's right, we have the data download, and we know exactly what their banners are going to look like, and determine if anything on that banner holds value for our stones compared to other areas. And then finally, we're going to take a look at what lies ahead. There isn't much, but there are a few things that are important for us to note. So let's go ahead and let's jump on in. Let's start by taking a look at the units. So we have the DAIMA Goku here. He leads Transformation Boost, Dragon Ball Seekers, and an additional 30% to Pure Saiyans or Accelerated Battle. He is greatly raising attack and defense for 3 turns, causing him as damage, and raises allies' attack by 41% for 2 turns. He also activates an entrance animation upon his entry turn, and it reduces his damage received further by 20% with a chance of evading enemies' attack, including super attack, 20% for 1 turn from the character's entry turn. He gets Key 3 and attack and defense 200% and reduces damage received by 30%. He has a high chance of evading enemies' attack, including super attacks. He has an additional defense 100%, chance of evading enemies' attack, including super attack 20% as the first or second attacker in the turn. He also gets an additional 100% and launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack as the second attacker in the turn. He also has an additional defense 200% when receiving an attack, and an additional 50% up to 200% with each attack received or evaded, including super attack. He also, starting from his next attacking turn after he evades the 5th attack in battle, starting from the 6th turn from his entry turn, he gets an additional 159% and effective against all types. He does have an active skill that can be activated after 5 or more evades, and it massively raises his attack, causes ultimate damage. Nothing crazy there. So, Goku is a unit, kind of like the Goten and Trunks, where he has to build up both through attacking and through dodging. After all, he does raise for 3 turns his attack and defense, so he does need to build that up, and then he needs to further build up by dodging. By the time he dodges 5 times, he gets his full 159%. Add on to that, with each of his super attack raises, he's raising allies by 41%. He's in a phenomenal support unit for the teams that he's on, and, just out a decent bit of damage. He is definitely a character that is more geared towards medium to long range fights, but once you get him built up, he is worth it. I would definitely say he, as a unit, is probably one of the better TURs released this year. Moving on to Glorio. Glorio is Demonic Power for 200%. He's got Battle of Wits and Accelerated Battle for 170, with his 30% being to Dragon Ball Seekers. Demonic Power excluded. On a super attack effect, he is greatly raising defense for the turn and attack, and also lowering enemies' attack and defense. He also has a neat little stacking effect of 9% and 6% in battle. Now, he has an entrance animation that gives him an additional super attack at 70% chance for his first entry turn. He's also got Key 3 and attack and defense 200%. He also launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack. He has a high chance of evading enemies' attack, including super attack, and launches another additional attack that has a 70% chance of becoming a super attack as the second or third attacker in turn. He gives all allies Key 1 and 50% for 3 turns as the third attacker in turn. He also gets an additional 150% when attacking, and an additional 50% within the same turn with each attack performed, plus an additional attack 30% and chance of evading enemies' attack, including super, 10% within the same turn. So he's kind of got like half that Gohan effect, where each super also 50% raises him and makes him that much stronger. And on the turn in which he launches the third super attack in battle, he also gets a guaranteed additional. That means he can do up to 6 additionals in a turn if he procs every single one. The main issue is, as turns go on, it's going to be harder to proc each one of those, right? Because he has a 70 on his entrance passive, but after that, which basically means, right, he can get an additional 50% and then one more 70%, and then after he procs that, he gets the guarantee. But that assumes he procs the both 50 and the 70, right? After that first turn, he's only got, you know, a 50 and a 70, and then he has to proc the hidden potential to proc the next guaranteed. So it's a little rough trying to get that. Early on, it'll be much easier, but he will start to taper off as the battles go on. But early is all you need, because at that point, with the amount of supers he's doing, he's also raising 9%, 6% in battle. So like if he did all 6, if he did all 6, he'd be getting over 50% attack, right? The equivalent of a greatly raise. And then defense would give him 36, so the equivalent of a normal raise. So I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, combined with the evasion, he should be pretty good. I believe his defense, if we have it here from Halvard, I believe his defense, yeah, like if all goes well and he gets all of these super attack effect stacks, he's looking at over 6 million defense. Goku also looking pretty good as well, right, with the dodge, right, over 3 million with pretty good dodge and damage reduction. So honestly, both are looking really good, and if I had to say, both of them are worth your stones if you just decide to summon for them. So that's one in the category of summon for the unit. Now, of course, these units don't live alone. They aren't in a vacuum. They exist on a banner. So we do have the banner assets in the data download. Shout out to Proton10MG for putting these up. So Goku's banner image is pretty much to be expected. Like we talked about in our previous video, right? When the banner should be dropping. This is pretty much expected for what to see from these banners, right? The previous New Year's units, the previous Golden Week units, all making their return here, right? I would expect to see, beyond these guys, World Tournament Goku and Piccolo also being on this banner, as these will be a 10 featured unit banner, right? Some of the characters on here are really good, right? Super Saiyan 3 Goku, tremendously valuable now, that with all these Majin Buu Saga buffs. Ultimate Gohan, kind of alright, with Beast Gohan, he can do really good. Hirudegarn, he's kind of off place on movie bosses right now. This dude could be getting an easy A. And on Glorio's banner, of course, we have Intbu, who is phenomenal, one of the best TURs in the game. STR Goku, kind of seeing some uprising again due to his, being added to the Majin Buu saga. Orange Piccolo, he's a bit older, like the Ultimate Gohan, can find a place, but, he's not incredibly useful at the current moment. And then, of course, STR Kid Buu, who could be an easy. The rest of them will probably be filler, probably Majin Buu Saga units, and World Tournament Goku and Piccolo I would expect to see on here as well. Possibly even Pikkon and Janemba as the previous New Year's units. We'll have to see, but really, I mean, looking at this banner, it's not that great of a banner, considering most of the units here that people would want already returned during the worldwide celebration and are likely to return on the New Year step up. Probably not a good place to summon, given that the close proximity to the anniversary. So unfortunately, the banner is not that good to entice summoning. There's not that much. Even if this guy was like the best easy A on the game, right, it still probably wouldn't be worth giving up your anniversary stones for. So unfortunately, that's a no for the banner. It's just not good enough to be enticing. Even with, the number 1, number 2 TURs on it, it's still just not worth it. Because again, these are going to be a 10 featured unit banners, which is going to be kind of rough to pull. Now, of course, that leaves what lies ahead, right? So 1 for the category of the unit and no go on the category for the banners. But what lies ahead is a bit interesting because we have 2 things coming up next. Number 1, it does look like in the data there are 2 banners available coming on New Year's Eve. One, it represents a New Year's Dokkan Festival, and the other a New Year's Legendary Carnival Summon. See, this is different than our normal New Year's Step Up banner. Now, we don't know if it's going to be a Step Up format format or not. I will have a video out later outlining exactly who I expect to see on each of these Carnival and Legendary Summon banners. But assume, in the spirit of the step-ups and the New Year's, it's even if it doesn't fully go the same route as the step-ups, it will still likely contain a lot of the major Dokkan Fests and now Carnivals released throughout the year, and possibly Easy A's and Super Easy A's as well. So it's a good chance that if you're a newer player, this is probably going to be a bigger priority for you to help fill out your account, but it does remain to be seen. We won't know much more until we get closer. And like I said, I will have a full video breaking this down. But if you're somebody who needs to summon on the New Year's Step Up, this is something worthy of consideration. And then, of course, finally, we have the 10th anniversary coming up, right? By the end of the month of January, we will be in full swing of the 10th anniversary, the first shared anniversary between JP and Dokkan. Very likely that the units released during the Part 1 are some of the best units in the game at the time of their release, possibly even eclipsing everything that exists now. I don't think Power Creep will go that far, but they'll definitely be in the running, surpassing all the other LRs. That is for sure. Now, one thing to note is that the 10th anniversary will be happening at the end of the month. And around the 18th, we will have the Dokkan Battle Fan Meetup, where at this point, we will get the reveals for the LRs. So you don't necessarily have to summon on these banners right away. If you want to wait until we find out the reveal, then do your summons, that honestly might not be a bad idea, because if it's not something that you're interested in, you may find yourself more interested in DAIMA. So just throwing that out there, that is something to consider. But given the proximity to anniversary, I have to also give it a no for what lies ahead. That means for one of the first few banners in a while, and for the year, we have to give a full-on no summon. I don't usually do this, but unfortunately, despite how good Glorio is, right? You know, we're talking great defense, we're talking dodge, we're talking the most amazing support for a lot of great units. It's just not worth dipping into your anniversary savings, right? You guys been doing hard, saving your Dragon Stones all year. Let it pay off for you in the 10th anniversary, especially since now we know we have that Dokkan Fest and Carnival Pity, where 2,500 stones guarantees you a copy of one of the 4 anniversary units. And if you're 1,000 stones or greater at this point, you're going to be pretty darn close to being able to achieve that by the end of the anniversary, meaning you will be pretty safe to walk out with at least 1 to 2 LRs, depending on how your summons go. So definitely don't summon and giving up your anniversary. Now, what that means for the rest of us, you know, if you're pay to play, low to play, there are tickets available, right? Shout out to Proton 10MG for posting these, right? There are on Global, there are Dokkan Festival B and Dokkan Festival A tickets, which can be used. Doesn't seem to be any premium variants of them, meaning it's just the standard tickets, meaning 7-unit multis, or possibly even 5-unit multis with a guaranteed SSR, no guaranteed features, unfortunately. Now, the big kicker here, and this is even more reason why I have to say no summon, is you'll notice in the banner assets, there's no mention of a pity or a step up, right? Like there normally is. That means there are no guaranteed featured steps like we would normally have. In fact, even in all of the data here from Proton and TNMG, there are no pity going. So there is no pity for this banner. Even more reason not to jump into this banner if you are a full-on pay-to-play player. So just throwing all of that out there. These are things to consider if you are pay-to-play. You know, maybe consider grabbing the tickets and doing your summons there, and then holding off till the anniversary. But realistically, most people, even paying players, should be saving, right? DAIMA GOKU and Glorio will return in April during the Golden Week celebration, so it's not that long of a wait to get your hands on these guys if you do end up skipping out and saving for the anniversary. So, guys, that is it for the video. My final recommendation is don't summon on these banners. As good as these two characters are, it won't be worth touching into your anniversary savings. If you guys liked the video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and in the comments down below, let us know your plan. Will you summon for Goku and Glorio? They are extremely good, and they would be worth to pull in your account. The question is it worth it to you? Let us know in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.